Call it a Christmas miracle if you will. But today I'm actually going to do two updates and kind of give a proper review to each of these figures, when really the best that I gave them before was a partial. I'll explain what I mean and why I'm doing this update when we focus on the Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Armada Starscream and the, I guess it's an exclusive, the Generations Rage Over Cybertron version of Megatron, along with an accessory that's not from that box set. I know it sounds kind of confusing. Stick around, we'll deal with one at a time in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host as always, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. Like, comment, subscribe, share, check me out everywhere, check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, spend some time on the channel, see what catches your interest. Happy holidays to one and all. That's when I'm recording this. Shout out to Pilgrim Media. He asked me to give him a little bit of attention, and why not? What he does is a bit different on his channel than what we do here, for sure and certain, but you know, he's a young guy just trying to make his way and trying to kind of improve things as he goes, just like all of us. So I looked at Armada Starscream a while ago when I kind of looked at some honorable mentions for the Universe Classics Generations line. Why did I look at him there? Because he was headless for a long time. I've done that overview in episode 165. I'll update that in just a little bit, but taking him off, let's focus on this guy. Now, I looked at the entire Rage Over Cybertron box set, along with Bumblebee and Optimus, and this guy, Megatron, in episode 236. And I actually like this guy. I like the set. I picked it up secondhand for something like $3 or $6. But he was missing his cannon. Now granted, in that box set, the cannon is kind of a gaudy, awful looking blue color. Where the black is on the stock cannon from the mass retail release, it was blue on that one. The red, I think, is the same detailing. And I had said for a long time I would try and get the cannon for this guy if I ever lucked into it. Well, as fate would have it, a good friend of the channel, Wayne, had a part slot, and lo and behold, the cannon was in there. This is exactly how the tank should look. Now, it still doesn't roll the best. It's okay, but nothing to get excited about. You can, of course, put these down and kind of do a hover mode. I already looked at the transformation going from robot to tank. I'm quickly going to do it going back the other way. And then I'll talk about all of his scores once we have him in robot mode. So naturally we begin by taking off the cannon. There's a little rectangular slot right here on the cannon, and there's a purple rectangular peg right here. That's of course how this attaches. It just goes down over that. It locks rather tightly, which is nice. The cannon itself, actually I'll try and focus on this here now. The cannon itself has beautiful detailing. It's enormous. It's detailed. It looks so nice. I absolutely love it. There is a... now what have I got done with that? There is a purple projectile that goes in the front of it. And admittedly, I'll root around there, and if I can find it I'll show it. But admittedly, I don't tend to leave it in there because the button for it is really picky. Really picky. Here we go. You know, it looks great. It's a nice translucent purple. It looks fantastic. Just as his kind of Cannon Blast should be, a purpley color. But it's really fiddly and rather... You can hear the click there. It's a rather strong mechanism. So I do tend to leave that out. When I get this guy all transformed as well, I'll show him with Bumblebee, and Optimus. Just as like a point of reference size comparison. So, we have that off. What do we do to transform this guy? He's actually pretty easy, which is nice. You begin by untabbing that and kind of pulling it off to the side. Here we go. I'll bring this in a little bit closer here, just so we can sort of see what we're doing. We pull that off to the side. Next, we can kind of pull these arms out, and we don't really do anything with them yet. We'll deal with that when the time comes. Underneath, you can sort of see how everything comes together. A couple of round holes up here, and there's round tabs underneath this gray section. They tab in there, so you untab those to get them loose. You flip back these little gray pieces, and you bring up that piece. You flip this down, and you flip this down. Now that we got that done, we flip and we flip to bring out his feet. Those little gray tabs that we moved so we could lift up this back piece, now flip up on the inside of the foot. And there's his lower body done, really. Lower body finished. As for the upper body, you need to angle down the shoulder. There's a hinge inside, and you have the shoulders hinged up. All you're really doing is hinging the shoulders down. You can bring this whole section up. That's his back, basically. Then we come to the front. We lift the head up. We raise his chest. And we're largely done. We come here and we open it up, and this is perhaps the most finicky part. We flip that little piece out, and we flip. There's a little piece in here as well. Whew, that took a while. Sorry for the cut. But trying to get this piece flipped out from inside was a chore. And his arm now looks like that once you tab them in. I know, I jumped over some stuff there. It was a bit of a pain. Over here, we can pull out that piece. It's the bottom piece again to his hand. And there you go. A little easier doing this arm over here. Now you have the two halves of his forearm and the two halves of his hand. You bring these down. There's a little black tab that kind of slots both pieces together. And we are almost done. All we have left to do now is to turn this piece and bring it down on his shoulder, and it just sort of fits over. Now he's back in robot mode, but of course now we have the joy of being able to put on his cannon. There is below the rectangular slot that was used for vehicle mode, we have another bigger square slot. And on this arm in particular, we have a square chunk. I don't think it's on the other arm. Oh, it is on the other arm. So you can put it on either arm that you choose. I'm going to put it on this one, even if it belongs on the other one. I don't care. And it snaps on quite securely. That being said, the first couple of times I put it on, I didn't snap it on the whole way, so it actually wasn't that secure, and I was a bit disappointed, but it was my own fault because I didn't push it until it snapped. Now, this looks like a Megatron. This looks like the War for Cybertron Megatron. The paint apps, I originally scored them at 6. Not because I don't like it, I really do, and I think that the metallic sheen on his forearms and his chest looks fantastic. Again, I think it's supposed to be reminiscent of him, like, full of dark energon or some such nonsense. It isn't exactly accurate to the game, but it looks fantastic, and I like the dark gray that's used. Still, because of the fact that it isn't exactly accurate, I have to score a 6. And trust me, it kind of hurts me to do that. His transformation, I had scored that as a 10. I still think it's a 10. You might fiddle with those hands a little bit, but overall, he's pretty easy. He compacts nicely, he unfolds nicely. And the articulation, I had scored his articulation a 7. That's the same. The head goes down, it comes up. The shoulders, unfortunately, can only go out about that far. which I think is a bit of a shame. They do go all the way around, and he can't really go across his body. Now there's a butterfly joint there, so he can sort of fake bringing his arm across his body if you are so inclined. He has a very deep elbow, and when it's down, it can also like kind of go out to the side like that if that's, you know, of use to you. There's a swivel that's not a bicep swivel, it's not a wrist swivel, it's, I don't know what you call it, a forearm swivel, I suppose, I guess. His arms are odd, but overall I think the guy looks imposing. By the way, the head, besides looking up and down, can also go left and right. In fact, it can go all the way around. He does not have a waist. The legs can go well out to the side that far. Way up to the front. He can do high kicks all day. Way to the back. He has a nice deep knee. And if you put that down and put that little kind of inner foot piece down, he has fairly substantial ankle tilts. Granted, you're faking it a bit to get him, but hey, we will give it to him. The articulation is the same. The arms are weird. They're okay, but they're weird. Overall, I had said that the guy was an 8 to 8.5. I still believe that. Of course, with the addition of his cannon, it probably teeters more on 8.5. I absolutely love the guy, and in fact, just because I'm going to put his little purple projectile in there. So there he is, along with the other two that were in the set. There's Bumblebee, and there is Optimus. What can I say? The three of them look good together. They really do. It's a great set. Scoring it for like $3 to $6, even better. So I'll take that out of it, and now him out of it, and him out of it. Starscream, the Armada Starscream. Now, I looked at this guy in full in episode 165, or well, as in full as I was able to, since he was headless. And I did the transformation there, going from vehicle to robot. So now I'm going to take a look at it going from robot to vehicle. I had said that his paint apps were a 9. They're not. I've since looked at it and I realized that there's some gray that should be on the side of the legs. The gray and red that are on the knee fins should be reversed. There's some color variation missing on his forearms and his upper arms. There's some black that should probably be underneath his chest. His shoulder cannons, which do, you know, they do come up. Instead of being red, they should be gray. But I still don't think you're going to mistake that it's Armada Starscream. I'm going to now update his paint apps and say they're about a 7.5. They're about a 7.5. He has orange translucent pieces here. There are two little, I guess they're supposed to be swords, and they peg on over this rectangular peg and this rectangular peg. You'll notice that they're not there. One of them did break. One of them is actually being used by one of the primes we have here to kind of mimic his axe, except it's not really an axe. But hey, it's orange, so it matches. Also, in the shoulder cannon things, there are a couple of projectiles that aren't in there. What can I say? They're frictions. You put them in, you push that out, and it fires them. You pull that back, and you push it in, and they go back. I'm not concerned about those accessories. I think everybody knows them by now. This is not a new mold. In fact, the mold was also used for G-Axis, and honestly, I think G-Axis might have wore it a little bit better. And here's why. His nose cone folds up. Starscream's doesn't. Not that it's supposed to, so it makes sense that it's left down. And I feel like G-Axis's head moves more freely than Starscream's head, at least a little bit. That being said, I do like the wings of Starscream better. His wings do not detach like the original as they should. That's a little bit of a shame, but what can you do? I guess they included those orange translucent Energon-esque swords to kind of mimic him removing his wings. That being said, he's still starting out pretty good. I will say this too, though I do not have the Power of the Prime's Voyager Starscream, nor do I plan on getting him, because I really don't like the look of it. I feel like now we have had a Deluxe Armada, and I really think that that new one heavily gets influence from Starscream's look in Cybertron. The head sculpt looks very much like that. The shoulder pauldrons to me look very much like that, and the large proportions look very much like that. If anything, it's probably some sort of a concoction between G1 and Cybertron. That being said, while I'm not really in for him, for any fan who is looking for a Voyager Starscream, I think that is at least an option for them now. Maybe his combined mode looks the best, but for me, I would never combine him. Wow, did I just go off on a tangent. Still, there are my thoughts about the Power of the Prime Starscream. Getting back to this guy, articulation. The shoulder cannon things can come up over. The wings are on little ball joints, so they can move, you know, way back if you're so inclined and you want that. The shoulders can, you know, go up. If the wings are the way, the shoulders can go all the way around. They can go up and back. They come out. I like the molded detailing here, kind of like a gear in his armpit area. We do have a bicep swivel. We have a little over 90 degrees for his elbow. The wrist can bend in if that's something that you like. The head is on a ball joint, and it can go left, it can go right, but it does tend to get kind of caught up on the collar a little bit, at least on this version of the mold. That being said, the head was missing for a long time. We're lucky we found it. It was hard to get back on the ball joint. He can look up, he can look down. That whole neck section doesn't really lock into anything, but it's not a big deal. It's not flimsy by any stretch of the imagination. We do not have a waist. We do, however, have legs that can go forward a lot. If you have these out of the way, legs can go all the way back. We have a very deep knee bend. I love that. Nice thigh swivel. Toes can tilt. Heel can tilt forward and back, not to the sides. He has most things that you'd want, and while you would expect them to be really back heavy, it is actually not. So I said before the articulation is a 9. I still think the articulation's a 9. It would be nice if maybe the head rested a little bit higher on the ball joint so that there was a little bit more free flowing motion, but hey, what can you do? That being said, you know, if you want kind of a size comparison to something more current, if for some reason you missed out on this guy, here he is next to Titan's Return Top Spin. You know, I guess he's a typical deluxe size, because Top Spin is kind of big. Love this guy, by the way. Transformation, like I said, I'm going to do it back in the other direction. We're going to do it fairly quick because this is not a hard transformation. So, I'm going to get the arm wings there out of the way, straighten out the arms, fold in the fists. That's what we have done so far. Take the nose cone and pick that up. Take the head and push that down as you bring the entire nose cone assembly up. This, where is it? This little piece here, this little red piece right here, that comes up and covers his face. I think that that's a nice touch, just so we don't have a visible head there. Then we come to the legs. The legs are the most interesting part. By the way, there are two little nubs right up on the nose cone section that are supposed to go into a couple of little slots way down on his pelvis. They don't really lock in, but the pelvis isn't loose anyway. The feet, feet fold in like that and back that far. We pull out the little fin on his kneecap. So to show that again, we fold up the heel into the foot and we angle the foot back. It only angles back a little bit. And we come to the knee and pull out that tail fin. G-Axis's tail fins do not move in or out. I kind of like this because it doesn't have such a huge fin sticking off on the front. We turn the legs toward each other and we bring them up around and we bring them up around, and now we have black teeth on either side and they go together to form the, I guess, the majority of the plane mode. You can next, if you haven't done it already, angle that wing and angle that wing so that they're in the correct orientation for a plane. Bring the arm down and there's a molded in piece on the back of the shoulder that will come up here and fill in. Angle this arm down for the same effect. The arms peg in up under the wings rather nicely. By the way, I didn't mention this, but I'll show it now. You have mini-con ports on his forearms that can hold mini-cons, and you have another couple up on top. And with these ones that you have on top, you can actually take a mini-con and, you know, from the Armada line and stick it in there if that's something you want to do, if that looks good to you or you enjoy these mini-cons. You can always do that. I think it's a nice throwback and a way to connect those two lines, to be honest with you. He looks great in this mode. Of course, there should definitely be more gray than what there is. We do have a landing gear down under the nose cone, and we do have landing gear in both of the legs that you can flip down, and boom, there he is, absolutely finished. He is a great rendition of Starscream, especially the Armada Starscream, but I don't think that you would mistake this for any other character. It is a red and gray plane. It is what it is. The transformation is quick, easy. I'd said that that's a 9. Honestly, I'm going to up it and say it's a 10. So, we have a 7.5 force paint apps now. We have a 9 for articulation. We have a 10 for transformation. Overall score for this guy now, even though I am missing the couple of little sword accessories, but the overall score for this guy now is a solid 9. It's a good Starscream. It's a good figure. Certainly one that can stand in on anybody's shelf for a very classic character. There you go. That's 2 that we've looked at. There were updates. I know that it took a little while, but I wanted to give both of them some proper attention. I appreciate you dropping by. I appreciate you giving me some of your very valuable time. And I look forward very much to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.